Got Your Back Podstream is brought to you by Kinprint. For all your company's promotional needs, they do it all. Apparel, promotional products using the highest quality brands. They do logo design, signage, and printing. Kinprint will promote your brand with excellence. Visit kinprint.ca. Okay, back-to-back losses. How are you feeling, Oiler fan? After 8 straight wins, the Oilers have now dropped 2 in a row to Florida teams. 5-1. Feels like this loss was a little bit different than the last one, though, doesn't it? Jason Strudwick standing by to break it all down. Got Your Back is always brought to you by Sherwood Buick GMC. So proud to have them as our title sponsor. They have great vehicles, right? New and used, whatever you might like. Just off Baseline Road on the way into Sherwood Park. Their sales staff is easy to work with. Their process is slick and streamlined. They respect your time. It's the big dealership in Sherwood Park, the number one GMC volume dealership in the country. And they are that way for a reason. Mention that Got Your Back sent you. You'll get 3 free ultimate detail packages on new or used vehicles, as well as specialized pricing. www.gmcpod.com is the website. Coming to you from the mobile Long Shot Studio. A little post-game live action here, still inside the rink. All game days, did you know? All-day happy hour specials, $5 Long Shots Lager. Much more than just golf. So we check in Zuby behind the scenes in Kelowna, running things. And Struddy as well. Struddy, how you doing tonight, my man? How was the day?
Tip top. What's going on with you?
Well, Saturday games, these late starts, right? They're always a bit of a pain, but that's why it's good to do these pods from the rink, right? Just kind of get her done right away. And it's still fresh in Oiler fans' mind, right? They're still, hey, scale of 1 to 10. How nervous should Oiler fans feel about back-to-back losses, given where this team has been this year? We're going to get to the breakdown in a minute, Struds, but big picture thoughts right now. What do you think?
Well, everything goes up must come down, right? I believe it was Sir Isaac Newton that talked about the laws of gravity. And so I think that,
this guy.
You run up. I've been working on that one since about half of
the
first period.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been working on that one for a while, guys. So
yeah,
you can put that, clip that, Zub, put it in the promo.
A gentleman and a scholar.
Well, hey, Zuby, I will say, though, Zuby, and we'll stop you in your tracks here, Struddy, but you just made yourself sound really, really smart. But we have a little treat coming up for you a little later in the podcast that Zuby might put him in his place a little bit.
We do. It'll just be a friendly reminder.
Let's just say the gem of the day might already be picked, Struddy, and it might come at your expense. So you're going to have to stick around to the end of the pod to find out.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And I've said some things I'd probably like to have back, but I think when you say as many things as I do, oftentimes they're not all great. But no, I think that this is just, you're coming back to not reality, but you run off, 8 games in a row. You're not going to win all of them, right? And then I believe that the last game was a winnable game. And tonight, the Oilers, even though it looked close, when you maybe look at some of the stats, you dig a little deeper and watch it, it was not as close as perhaps the stats would reflect.
I would agree with you, my man. So let's get to the breakdown, brought to you by Mr. Dirk, the iconic men's clothing store in Edmonton, founded in 1939, just off White Avenue and 102nd Street. They got a beautiful showroom, fantastic clothing. As always, I'm at the rink. That means I'm in some Mr. Dirk right now. What do I got? Oh, I got Yope. This is a fantastic brand from overseas, Yope. And this is one of the suits there that fits me really good. So this brand, I basically take whatever they have in this brand. That's the beauty of Mr. Dirk Struddy. You've been there, right? If there's something that works, they'll find it for you. They'll get it for you. And then you can just keep going back to Old Faithful here. The shirts too. Like you spend a little bit of money on these shirts, they last for years and years. So Struds, you've been there.
Oh, yeah. And you're looking good tonight, buddy. Honestly,
really?
6.5 to 7. Well done.
From a 6.5 to a 7, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think you look great.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah, I just feel like, when you do the podcast in a suit, you just feel a little more professional, right?
Yeah.
Not a ball cap and a hoodie like most days.
Yeah, fair point.
Okay, let's get to the breakdown. Where do you want to start with this, Struds? I'll kind of lay this one out for you. Chris Knobloch talked about the defensive play and in particular the middle of the ice. I don't know if that's a good starting point, but you take it.
Yeah, I mean, Knoblauch is very self-aware of his team. Obviously, it's his team to coach. I feel if I'm going to encapsulate this game into one statement, it would be Barkov's goal, the third goal, I believe it was,
Mm-hmm.
where the puck Barkov takes it around the net, it goes up to the point, and then there's a point shot. I think it was Albrecht and Larson who shot it. And then there's two Panthers inside the Oilers, two players. And
Right.
bang,
Yeah.
just like that. So in that 8-game stretch, how many times do we see one and much less two players inside the Oilers D between the D and the goalies? It was pretty rare. We saw it there. So, I believe overall the chances would be pretty similar. I think when you sit down and kind of look at the overall chances, but the chances that were given up were very good. Even the first two goals, I mean, slot shots, just wide open slot shots. First one, center loses his man. Second one, the winger is not watching. Braden Montour walks behind him and fires it in. Toes pointed the wrong way. So those, first
hang on,
were very dependable.
Okay, so let's break these goals down a little bit more specifically because I was interested to know your breakdown on who might be at fault. And we did this a lot earlier on in the year. But the Oilers got down early in this game, and there were some pretty big mistakes. They've been good at defending the slot lately, and they got away from that tonight. So the 1-0 goal, we agree, it was Draisaitl's guy, right? He was there. He was with him. The guy beats him to the middle of the ice, and that ends up in the back of the net. Pretty clear that one was Draisaitl, right?
Yes, for sure.
The next one, take me through who you think was the core mistake on the next one, the 2-0 goal.
Well, when you're playing defense or defending your own zone, it's generally you're talking about zone. So in this case, it was Ryan Nugent-Hopkins on the left wing, and Braden Montour is the D man.
Brandon,
And so if you look at the toes of and I always look at the toes, because if your toes are pointed towards the backboards, when you're the forward, you have no idea what's going on around you. And you can see by the reaction of Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, his toes are pointed towards the backboards, and Montour jumps by him to open ice, and Nugent-Hopkins can't react in time, and that's a shot that Montour has. Now, if your toes are pointed, what I'd call to the side, so I'd to the sideboards, whether one way or the other. Generally speaking, you want to face where the puck's at.
Yeah,
but they're faced toward the sideboards. Now, sudden, you can see you have a way bigger view of what's going on around you, and that guy, if he tries to jump by you, you're able to stay with him. So. I'm nude. I've got this one on.
Yeah.
What do you?
Me too. Well, at first I thought, was that Connor? And so I went back and watched it 2 or 3 times, and I agree with your assessment. I do think it was Nugent-Hopkins. McDavid thought he was covering the point for Hyman because Hyman was the first forward back. So McDavid was picking up that point guy, and then Hyman ended up back there too. So it kind of looked like maybe McDavid was supposed to be in the middle. But I agree with you. Nugent-Hopkins got jumped to the middle of the ice there, and I think that one was on him. Yeah, you talked about the 3-0 goal. I mean, that was early season Oiler-esque to have those guys sitting back there like that. 14 and 29 got a little tied up there. Draisaitl and Ekholm got a little tied up, and I think that's probably part of the reason why. But still, it was a tough one. The 4-1 power play goal, what did you make of that one?
Well, I think we have to address the penalty call, that was on Kulak. And now I'm not going to beat up Kulak for his stick hitting another guy in the face, but that was the right call. And I'm actually disappointed that it wasn't called in real time. Like that to me is a very easy call in real time, Sean.
Why are you disappointed? Why are you being hard on him?
Well, as the ref, how do you not see that in real time?
You mean the fact that they had to take a look?
100%. How's that not calling real? How does that miss? So if we're not reviewing in the era we are now, does that just not get called? And I know this sounds anti-Oiler, but I mean,
but they called, but they didn't miss it. They called the double minor before they did the review. They were just double checking.
Okay, my bad. So, I thought it wasn't called, and they had
it was
double check that it was.
And honestly, Struds, okay. I think what they do is if they're going to call a double minor for high sticking like that, I think they'll go take a look just to make sure it wasn't a player on his own team's stick, or just to make sure they didn't miss it. So
my bad.
But no, that's okay. It's all good. And then so they end up Barkov gets the 2 for the hold, so the Florida ends up on the power play. Oiler penalty kill has been fantastic, but they let a tough one through there.
Yeah, well, 2 for 4. What was it? No, 2 for 4. Yeah, the Florida went on the power play, I think.
Yeah.
Again, you're going to have a little bit of a pullback. You're talking in a great run by the Pelican. It was rolling, but you're going to have a little bit of pullback. So they give up 2 tonight. Then we go back and look at some of those other goals we've already addressed that happened in the first period. That's the game. That's the difference when you're not feeling it offensively, maybe to the level you were previously. And I think we'll count both Florida games in the same boat, buddy.
So we are live streaming tonight. We are going to take your questions in our Ask Us Anything segment. Chris will be gathering them behind the scenes, just so people understand what we're going to be talking about and when. We'll talk about the goaltending we saw tonight. In our second segment, though, we're going to go a little bit bigger picture about Ken Holland and the goaltending and where they're at in terms of, what DEFCON level are they at here to make a move. We'll dive into that a little bit. We'll talk about maybe what line combinations would be an option potentially to try and get the middle six going, because there's definitely some frustration there. We'll hear from Evander Kane in the second segment. Then we'll have Struddy's World as well, and then we'll go bigger picture in our Take a Lap segment. So we are going to get to some of the bigger goaltending issues. Before we get to the goaltending, let's just hear real quick from Chris Knobloch in our Weiss Johnson soundbox talking about that middle of the ice that we just broke down, Struds.
I don't think we defended well enough. I don't think there was enough urgency to protect the slots. We made some mistakes, and they forced us into doing that, and that's going to be part of hockey. But I just didn't like how we reacted to those. And you knew we were going to get a very hungry, determined team tonight. Losing their previous 2, getting shut out. We knew it wasn't going to be easy, and they certainly were ready to play.
We'll go to Zach Hyman now. Did you have something on that, Struds?
I just want to talk about the 5th goal.
Okay. Yep.
So, I think it was the last podcast that I said that I don't like when players lay down unless it's really close to your net.
Yep.
You've
been consistent on that one, buddy.
Yeah, Darnell Nurse. So if you look at this video, Evan Bouchard drops really early, and just slides right out of the way. And all of a sudden, Carter Verhaeghe just stops up and steps back and then rifles a shot. So if I believe you're gonna lay down, it's got to be really close to your net so you take away the pass, and the guy doesn't have a lot of area to work in. And so that is why I don't like people laying down, because you lose the ability to move, and players are so talented, especially your top 6 to 7 players. They're going to make you pay in that one he paid. If he stays up, probably doesn't happen the same way.
Yeah, you do that with a real heads-up player, and just that little split-second delay, you slide into the corner while they celebrate the goal. It's definitely not a good look, but you've been consistent with that. We'll go back to the Weiss Johnson soundbox here, and a reminder that it might be chilly out now, but you will be a hero when that first day of heat arrives. The gift that keeps on giving, a new air conditioning unit installed by the pros from Weiss Johnson. Order now, save with their festive December special, 25% off any in-stock air conditioner. For details, visit wjcools.com.
Weiss Johnson, whoa.
We'll go to Zach Hyman. A bit of a bigger picture thought here, right? They rattle off 8 in a row. They lose 2. And just where Hyman's head is at, big picture.
I think we had our looks in this game, but I think in the Tampa game we set like a record number of shots. And I think that was more of a game that was a winnable game for us. This one, obviously, I think we think every game is winnable, but this one we didn't show our best, and we didn't play to our standards. So when you do that, sometimes you win, but most of the time you're probably not leaving the rink happy.
Okay, 2 more topics here, at least in the breakdown, Struds. I want to talk about Draisaitl, and I want to talk about the goaltending. Let's deal with Leon Draisaitl first. He's sitting in his last 8 games. I believe he's 3-3 in his last 8 games played. What are you seeing in Draisaitl's play right now?
Well, tonight I think he took 2 off the chin, right? He is -2. So, he's your second most dangerous offensive player, and he's more times underwater than he is above water in the head-to-head goals, right? This guy, he's not here just to break even, right? He's got to produce. And right now, and when I say his line isn't producing. So tonight they had him with, who was it? Fogel and
Janmark.
Yeah. And it's not getting done. They're not getting this done here. So I think the challenge for Leon and for the coaching staff is to figure out how to get him a line that can kind of get himself going. So, I don't like always blaming the line mates, but I think that there's they got to find chemistry for this guy, because right now there's no chemistry. And you know, we can debate about Yamamoto and how good he was for Leon, but he was Leon's buddy for a long time, for quite a few years. And right now, who is Leon's guy? Like, does he have a guy that he wants to play with night in, night out?
Yeah, well, Fogel's auditioning, but you know the results night in, night out are. Yeah. I thought Fogel actually made some really nice plays tonight, in particular at the offensive blue line. There were 3 separate times where he made a high skill play to keep the play alive, and in fact to distribute the puck. That's been one of my biggest complaints about Warren Foegele anywhere near the skilled players on this team, is his ability to complete plays. And I thought there were some instances today, had some good scoring chances and some decent looks. We'll pause that conversation because we're going to talk about potential line shuffling in the next segment. You wanted them to start Calvin Pickard this game, correct? In the flow of things, you felt like it was time. But I don't want to put words in your mouth, but how did you feel about his decision to go with Pickard tonight?
I don't recall saying that I want him to play tonight. I thought it was actually going to be Skinner tonight. Yeah. But I was consistent prior to the Blackhawk game.
Right. Okay. Sorry. Not to put,
And again, this it goes back to my idea of taking the workload off of Skinner. So I would have played Pickard against Chicago. And then I would have had Skinner, and now heading into the next 3, probably get Pickard in for 1, right? So I would have had Skinner in for this game tonight. I'm not sure if ultimately that was the big deciding factor in the game, but I would have had my number 1 guy against Florida, who I think is a very good team.
Okay. Here was the dilemma they faced. And in fairness to you, wouldn't have been facing this dilemma had they gone with your goaltending strategy earlier. So you look ahead to their next 4 games, and they've got Jersey and the Rangers back-to-back late next week. So you know that Pickard's going to play one of those games.
Right.
So then you think, well, they probably should give him one of the next 2, like before tonight, because otherwise he's 10, 11 days between starts, which you don't necessarily want. He played well. I think they felt like he played well in his last start. Got to figure out an opportunity to get him in. Right. And so I understand that, but both guys are going to play 2 of the next 4. Just looking at the schedule, you kind of know that's the way it was going to go. Here's the issue with the decision tonight. And I said last podcast, so I'm being consistent, I'd go with Skinner and give him a chance to get it back. So your starter goes in and stands there post-game and says, I cost my team the game. He owns it, and he stood there. I get the scheduling issue, and in the end, scheduling is why I believe this decision was made. A little bit of long-term scheduling. But I might have gotten away from that plan and given Stuart Skinner an opportunity to go and get this one back tonight. So I think Skinner should have been the guy in net tonight for that reason, and I believe that should have superseded the plan based on the next week. Although that's tough to do, right? And here we were talking about Skinner needing a rest.
Yeah, and it's not rest in the moment that I'm talking about. I'm talking about the entire year, right? And so I think that they know in that coach's room that this is unsustainable. This number of games is unsustainable, and we don't know what's going to happen moving forward in a month or 2 months or the trade deadline, whatever. So you have to live in the now and you have to plan for the future. So. Again, not to be, the guy who said the plan that was ultimately I was right. I proven right. And for once I got the goaltending right. But you're
once in seasons of podcasting.
Because it is the first time in podcast history, but because of the way that they didn't play him earlier in the week, now you had to play him in this game. And now you've got to get him again in there again, because you got to get these number of games down. So but again, I don't feel like this one's laying at Calvin's feet.
Totally agree. Yeah, I was just about to make that clear. Yeah, no one's sitting here blaming the goalie.
Yeah,
that's not what's happening here tonight.
No, but it just because of earlier decisions. Now you're challenged, and you have to get his workload down. And I think that's what makes it so hard for Chris Knobloch.
J-Dub says analytics should look at each goalie's historical performance against each team. I don't really buy that for goalies. Do you? Do you think it matters what they've done in their career against the team? Like, you think you just get a feel? Maybe we need a gauger on to ask him. Like, I don't know.
I mean, I guess, how do you gauge Calvin Pickard's play? Like against it's so let's say he played Florida, when was he in Colorado? 3 years ago.
Yeah.
You're going to say, well, look at this team. Well, guess who wasn't there? Kachuk wasn't there. Braden Montour wasn't there. Like, I just don't want to go back and revisit it that far back. If you want to talk about 2 weeks ago, like when Pickard played against the Devils, he played a good game. I'm probably putting him back in for the Devils game, right? But now, does it stack up? Does it make sense because of the decision they made earlier this week? We'd have to see how it goes, but I'm sure Skinner's the next game.
Well, they're going to have to play Pickard against the Devils. You're not going back to back with Skinner.
Yeah,
you're not. And so the issue with starting Skinner tonight would be, unless you're willing to start Skinner in the next game as well, right? Boom, boom. Then you wouldn't go Pickard back to back, the Islanders jersey, and then you wouldn't do that, right? So it just, I think it's really, it probably boils down to answers we don't have, right? They run numbers on these guys. They all wear the heart rate monitors. They know what their output is, their exertion. If at the end of the day, the goaltending coach and the head coach are sitting there saying, is this player tired? That probably has as much to do with the decision, tonight as anything. Did they need to prioritize a break for Skinner in the next 4 games and not have him play 3 of those 4 games? Probably boils down to those numbers that we don't have.
Yeah, and then ultimately, what is the number they want to hit for his starts this year? That trumps, I believe, everything. Quite honestly, that's the ultimate.
I don't know, but I don't know that I agree with that. I think they have a ballpark, but I don't think you need to. I think it's okay to live in the moment a little bit here, Struds. As much as I agree with you, like there's a range you don't want to get away from. If you're within 2-3 games of where you hoped you'd be, I think you're fine. So
let's say they get down the last 10 games and they just figure they have to get 16 points out of 20 games.
Yeah.
And this guy being Skinner sitting at 52 games. Do you think he's going to be fresh for those last 10? Did you have to play him in? That's the risk you play. So you're mortgaging the future for today. And I get that, but I don't believe a coach, you can't look like that. You have to think game 28, 29, 50, 60, and 82. That's just the way they think. They have to think that way.
Struddy's appearance on the podcast brought to you by Kinprint. If you are a new company, see how Kinprint can help you with logo design and branding. Check out their website, kinprint.ca. Their logo's fantastic. I love the two-tone bear.
Yeah,
just classic. A solid logo. If you're a new business, they can help you out with all that stuff. You're trying to get a logo designed or come up with some of your early big decisions that you got to make, Kinprint can help you out. So make sure you check them out. Okay. When we come back, we're going to go big picture on the goaltending front. What should Ken Holland be looking at doing here? What level of DEFCON are we at? And what would you do with the lines? If you want, start firing in some line combinations on the stream, and we'll see if maybe we can get to a couple of those in the next segment as well. Tons more to come here on the podcast. Quick break.
Hey everyone, it's Kelly here from United Sport and Cycle. Christmas is just around the corner, and we've got everything you need for the athlete and sports fan on your list. With over 30 different sports under one roof, including hockey, bikes, ball, and our amazing fan shop, United is your one-stop shop for everything sport. Don't know what to buy? A United gift card is always a fan favorite. United Sport and Cycle, your Santa's workshop for over 95 years.
If you own or operate a business, you know the value of a great employee. Just ask Schauger. Pathfind is here to help you find your next star player to help take your business to the next level. Pathfind can help with recruitment, career transition, leadership coaching. They truly have your whole team covered. Building you a championship caliber roster, find your team's path forward at pathfind.ca.
Time to talk about your mortgage? It doesn't have to be a daunting conversation. With over 16 years in the industry, Maria Gallus with Maximal Mortgages knows how to make it easy. With access to dozens of different lenders, let Maria customize the perfect solution for you. Whether you're purchasing, refinancing, or renewing, or a first-time buyer, Maria's simplistic approach and expert advice will have you feeling confident you're in great hands, making informed decisions. Take the stress out of your mortgage journey. Contact Maria Gallus at mortgagesbymaria.ca. That's mortgagesbymaria.ca.
Been a couple of weeks now that we have had Maria Gallus on as a partner of the podcast. Never got a chance to properly welcome her. So Maria, welcome to the podcast. And if you are in need of a mortgage, she does a great job. She's done work for Randine and I, and definitely highly recommend her. That's Maria Gallus. Time now for takeaways, brought to you by Redefined Health. If you're unhappy with your overall level of health, or if your knee hurts, they've got a really unique 90-day program. Dr. Tyler Fix and the crew at Redefined Health. It's a wellness lifestyle program, 90 days, video instruction, meal plan, exercise regimen, pre and post assessment to help you monitor your progress, all for $150. Help change the way you're functioning and feeling day to day. Visit redefinedhealth.com. I know you're dying for an update on the knee, Struds, because Tyler Fix has been working on it for me. 2 days in a row, buds. Peloton. Full workout too, not just a Sunday ride on it, like actually did the class with the girl yelling at me the whole time. Back-to-back days. Tyler's got me all fixed up, buds.
Good. Now, are you allowed to actually say that he's working on you? Like, I thought there was a point where he'll work on you, but he didn't want you to tell anybody. Was that inaccurate? Was I reading the room wrong?
No, well, it's too late. I've been doing it since I hurt my knee. So I think he's just like, look, give me all the credit you want for your knee, but make sure nobody thinks I'm working on your back. I do not want to take credit for whatever you got going on with your back.
Oh, man.
Still my favorite line, Rob Tichkowski one day talking about how Andre Sekera's knees are made of Ryan Rishaug's back. I thought that was a good line. Okay, let's get into we want to do lines first or goaltending? We might get off the rails with goaltending. So should we do lines real quick?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah,
lines real quick. Okay. Here's a Vander Kane postgame. Asked a question about, they're trying to find a little chemistry, a little something in the middle six, juggling things around a little bit, right? So he was on a line with Draisaitl and Connor Brown, and then a little flip-flop. So all of a sudden you got Ryan McLeod next to you instead of Leon Draisaitl. It's been a few games. Kane's gone a little dry. Asked postgame about that search for chemistry.
I think we're as a team trying to find some offense, obviously, in a game like that. And,
Well,
yeah.
What'd you make of that, Struds?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, that's quite a tiptoeing in the tulips answer, right? You're not really saying what you think. So you just say, yeah, we're trying to find offense. We're trying to figure things out. But I'll say this. I believe it's time to move Nuge off of the top line, and not because of anything he's done. It's because of what's not being done. So I actually think I'm going to move down, and Leon needs someone to help get him the puck, right? Yeah. And a passing option to him. And I think that opens up his game when he has someone who can pass to him, because now he becomes a shooting option that he also can pass to the other two guys. So I'm moving Nuge down to his 29, and then Connor and Hyman together. After that, it gets a little bit messy because I'm not exactly sure how I want to stack the guys up.
Yeah,
but that is what I'm doing. Next game.
Oh boy, I'm just trying to piece it together for you here. It's tough. So are you going Nuge, Draisaitl, and Brown?
That was
93, 29, 28.
So this is what I had: 13, 97, 18, 93, 29, 28. Then 91,
13, 97, 18.
Yeah, that's what I had. I know.
Then 37, 71.
37, 71, and 91.
Oh, that's so 91, 71, 31.
Yeah, that's what I had. Now that was, I wish Brownie was here, because Brownie, generally speaking, kind of gets the lines right. Like I like the way he thinks. I don't have Janmark up there with those two guys, because that's a big change from what they have in 93. But, I don't know. I just know I want to get someone who can give the puck to 29, because I think it makes a difference. It opens up his game more. So I'm looking at 2 duos, really. And then after that, I'm trying to piece them together as well as I can.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough, man. It's flat out tough. There's no question. They have some important guys that aren't going, that they need to get going again. And I might, in an effort to get those guys going, to your point, move a couple of things around. And you think Nuge is the guy that needs to move off of the McDavid line.
Yeah.
You do, as opposed to Hyman. Because the other option could be if you move Hyman, you could go 91, 29, 18, although Hyman and 91, 29, 18 potentially.
I don't love Hyman and Kane together.
Yeah, I know. You've said that before.
And so, I mean, the other option, and I had this beside it, was 93, 29, 91 on his offside.
Throwing Kane on his offside right now to try and find it?
Well, because now there's two guys that can get him the puck, right? And then he's going to be the worker bee. Then the problem is that I have 97, 18 together. And then 71, 20. I like 71 and 28. I want those two guys together. Then I got to.
I'm sorry. What?
I want McLeod and Brown together.
But you just said I like them?
Well, because I think that they have a common, they haven't scored. But what I like is that they're Brown is a worker bee. Like whatever you talk about his goal scoring, he's a worker bee. And I like to think he can drag that out of 71. Right?
Sure, bud.
Well, no, but
we'll see.
We have to live in the world of reality. We can't just we need another top line player. I don't think another top line player is coming for ever, if not maybe at the trade deadline. So you have to figure out combinations that work and what you're trying to do a given line identity. So would
you at all be tempted to put Brown with McDavid to see if he can get it going? McDavid and Brown, like maybe he's been playing better. Maybe he can pop one and he'll get back on track.
So do you put Hyman on his offside?
You mean on the next line? Yeah, Hyman can play right on the second line with Draisaitl, Kane.
So you're taking both of McDavid's line mates away.
Nope.
In this scenario.
93, 97, 28. Nugent Hopkins, McDavid, and Connor Brown.
I don't think that Hyman brings the same thing as Nugent Hopkins does to a line, but I understand what you're saying, because what you're trying to do is, as you said, you're trying to get other people going that aren't going right now. And I'm looking at 28, 91, 29. Those are the three guys I need to get going.
Yeah. J-Dub losing his marbles on the stream. No. He's basically said, look, we're blue skying.
Yeah.
We didn't come here. I never said to Struds, figure out what your lines are going to be. I actually like the conversation. I think it's a good conversation to have and work our way through it. And you can agree or disagree with the ideas we're coming up with, but these are I just think it's an interesting conversation to sit here and have. Send Brown down to play with Campbell. No, definitely they're not going to do that.
No. So I'll go back to my statement the other day, is that you put leave the top line alone. They put Kane with Draisaitl and Fogle. And then you have Janmark with Brown and McLeod. That is the least disruptive amount of you can do.
Yeah.
And because I like Fogle just gets in there and he was working hard and getting it going. But he's also not a guy who's going to deliver the puck to Draisaitl in those shooting areas.
Yeah.
Neither is Kane. Right?
Hey, do you know what I think they're going to do?
Yeah.
I think they're going to leave the top line intact. And I think they're going to go back to Kane, Draisaitl, and Brown. I think they're going to go back to that.
Yeah.
Because they were winning games when they had those guys together. And, I mean, there are only so many configurations. And I think Chris Knobloch seems like the type to me that is not – I mean, they've played one bad game here. This was a bad game tonight. Last game was not. And I don't think he's going to be a coach that overreacts to a loss and maybe a bit of a frustrated Leon or a frustrated Kane. I think he's just going to give them the opportunity to dig their way out of it, and he'll stay the course and go back with those top two lines. That's my gut on what he might do. We can talk a little bit more about that in our Ask Us Anything segment. Okay, let's get to the goaltending. Here is my submission to you. So Skinner's game has improved for sure. Starting goalie, I think if you manage his minutes and his ice time, you're okay. You can feel okay about that moving forward. But, Jack Campbell now gets pulled tonight again. So it's stayed completely off the rails for him. Pickard has the night he has. Was okay, but not good enough. It's getting to a situation for me where if they were hoping there was a way to thread the needle and maybe figure out an internal solution, I think that window is closing pretty quick here, Struds. That the possibility that the solution might lie internally If you're Ken Holland, I think, and a lot of fans would be like, well, no shit, like have been thinking this all along. But I'm telling you, they were hoping there was a way to thread the needle to see if they could maneuver this so there was an internal solution. I think that time is probably past. If I'm Ken Holland, I'm probably trying to figure something out right away here. I don't know what it is, but it's pretty clear to me. You?
Yeah, last year I was a huge advocate for Jack Campbell. I kept saying, "You're going to need him. You got to play him. You're going to need him. You're going to need him." And I was very strong in my belief of what Campbell would do. And ultimately, he kind of did. He did get himself going to the playoffs. This year, I don't have that belief in Campbell. I think that his issues are not a lazy glove hand, or a ill-fitting pad. Right? There's a mental block right now that he's struggling with, and it happens to athletes, even high-level athletes. It happens, right? So, and then you got Calvin Pickard, who, didn't think he'd see any time in the NHL, but here he is, and he's in there playing. But the last two games against two Russian goalies, they've been, I don't know if goalied is fair to say in this game, but I think against Tampa, it's really fair to say.
Well, Oilers should have had 4 goals. Like, there were 3 that should have gone in. Bobrovsky made 3 fantastic saves. So did they get goalied all night? No. Did he rob them of multiple goals early? For sure he did.
But you're not getting a goalie of that caliber in a trade. And you see Soros, I'm sorry, I don't believe that's going to happen. And the cost
that's
crazy. So
a lot of people are asking about Ranta and Antti Ranta. And here's the thing. I mean, career 915.
Yeah.
A little older, he's 34 years old. But in his 14 games this year, like, he's got an 854. And a 3.61. Now, obviously, the goaltending has been a disaster there. But, like, what's the guarantee there's going to be any sort of upgrade? That, to me, it's a major shot in the dark.
Yeah, let me check his cap hitter. But while I'm doing that, I'll say you have a team that's struggling with goalies, and you're going to take the guy from that team that's struggling with goaltending issues.
Yeah, it's like shuffling the deck chairs around a little bit.
That makes me really worried. So Ranta's at $1.5 million. So it's not crazy. It's not going to destroy you. But
like, you might just be well off to just keep seeing what you can get out of Pickard rather than making that move for Ranta, who's playing this way this year. Yeah. I'd be interested in 3 or 4 more starts out of Pickard than trading for Ranta right now. Wouldn't you?
Right. Yeah, no. Yes. I mean, people like a change, right? We like a change when things aren't maybe going the way you want.
Yeah.
But so for the Oilers, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I believe right now in his career, Stuart Skinner is a tandem goaltender. He needs to have another guy that can play, in a start of the year, 40 to 50 games, same as him, or 30, somewhere in that 30 to 45 game range, same as him. They don't have that right now. And, when you hit a dip, you need someone who can jump in. They thought it was Campbell when they signed him, but it hasn't been. It will not be this year. I have a hard time seeing that happen.
Yeah.
So
I think they were really hopeful, Struds, that Campbell would rehabilitate his game a little bit. They could stop gap with Pickard. And again, we're not blaming Pickard for tonight. But can he be the guy? I mean, imagine if something happened to Stuart Skinner. Like, just think about that, right? Good teams that are in their cup window, they don't have all of their eggs in one basket, so much so that there's that kind of drop-off in where guys are at in their career. Like, there's 1A, 1B. Some have a 1 and a 2, but I mean, it's not the tandem you go running into a playoff hoping to win a Stanley Cup with. So something's probably got to give here. And I think my point tonight is the window on it being an internal solution is all but closing here dramatically. And I'm not sure what Ken Holland's solution is, man. There's no cap space. You got to keep your powder dry to improve your team on, your skaters. This is a tough position for him to be in, really paying the price for his singular biggest mistake as general manager here.
Oh yeah, he's wearing it. He's got to beat the bushes, right? Try to figure something out. And you go through all the teams, look at all their goalies. I don't know who it is, and cap hit and the cost to get that contract out of Campbell's. That is job number 1. If you are going to truly move that deal out, that is going to be very, very expensive to move that out with $15 million left on 3 years of that deal.
Askarov? I don't know. I mentioned him. He was one of the first names I mentioned.
Yeah.
Nashville if Nashville has every intention of signing Saros,
For sure.
Barry Trotz has made it clear that they're going to take a hard run at that. Where does that leave that guy?
So what does that look like? Is he
High
more
draft
or less
pick.
expensive than Ekholm? First. Basically, it was 2 firsts for Ekholm.
Yeah.
Or whatever it was.
I don't know. I'm not sure asset-wise what that's a really good question, actually. What deal do they do? It's not the type of thing where they got to take a Barry back or to make the money work or something like that. He's got a 9.14 this season, 2.28 goals against average, just spitballing. Like he's not necessarily the guy that's going to step in and take over, right? He's got one game of NHL experience. But my point is, are you putting a building block in place that now, if he's ready to take that step and be an NHLer, now it's back and forth between him and Skinner. And again, there aren't obvious solutions here, and there haven't been all year, Struds, and that's what makes this hard. All the guys that are being suggested are all backups or struggling or have warts or whatever. There aren't obvious ones here, unless I'm Blackwood, right? Mackenzie Blackwood maybe, and Tito throws that out there. He was an option that we had talked about earlier this year that I thought could make some sense, but yeah, the conversation will definitely continue. Any closing thoughts on that, Struds?
No, and I think that they made their decision with Campbell, and it hasn't worked out, and it will not work out this year. I'm not going to happen in year 3, but I can tell you right now, I am not confident. I was confident in him last year. I am not confident this year. So a decision has to be made, and you have to find the piece. And then the cost is what because if you, let's just say it for that young goalie, it's Bourgault and your first pick this year. That's all you're doing. That's it. You can maybe add a piece on the side. So you're adding a guy that you hope is going to solidify your goaltending. Doesn't change the D, doesn't change anything else. And that is where this really becomes an issue for Ken Hall and his group.
Yeah, 100%. All right, that was Takeaways, brought to you by Redefined Health. When we come back, Struddy, go and take a lap. Stick around.
The Edmonton Sport and Social Club is YEG's top destination for adult recreational sports, offering over 20 different options, including ball hockey, indoor volleyball, pickleball, and now ice hockey for all you fans out there looking to lace them up for the first time or get back into the game after a few years off, like Struddy. Sign up by December 13th for the winter season beginning mid-January at edmontonsportsclub.com.
Winter is upon us, so why not make the best of it? Marmot Basin Ski Resort is where it's at. Ski half price every day, no blackout periods. Pick up your escape card for $99 and make winter fun more affordable. Half the price, all the powder. Get yours at www.skimarmot.com.
All right, it is time now to take a lap, and that is brought to you, Struddy, by our good friends at
Backscape. This product is taking the online world by storm right now. It is everywhere. Get rid of your unwanted back hair by yourself with Backscape. The water-resistant rechargeable shaver, coupled with the long handle, lets you take care of your business all on your own. Shave in any direction with no bumps or cuts. It's easy. It's awesome. Right now is their biggest sale of the year, 30 to 50% off. Visit backscape.com. That's B-A-K, scape.com, and choose from a variety of packages delivered right to your door, buddy.
So Cousin Steve, I gave him one.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to get a review for tomorrow night's show.
I
so
love
Cousin
it.
Steve will give us a Backscape review of all of us Rishaug males. I think he might be in the most need of it.
I saw it. Noted. It was
so
noted
we'll see what Cousin Steve says. Yeah, exactly. Struddy, where are we going first, buddy?
Let's start the Toronto Maple Leafs. We know last game they were down 5-0, came back and lost in overtime 6-5 in a crazy game. Well, tonight they played the Pittsburgh Penguins and absolutely pounded them. 7-0, I believe, was the final score. Penguins, Kyle Dubas' big return to Toronto, but the story.
Imagine that.
Yeah,
Dubas' return getting smoke showed like that.
Yeah,
oh.
I have to admit, I kind of like it. I kind of like it because and it's not that I don't like Dubas, but I just like that you go back and you kind of have your team and you just get absolutely abused in your old place. But the story isn't that. For me, it's Matthew Knies. He had a Gordie Howe hat trick, a goal assist, and a fight tonight. And this is a young player. I think he was a second rounder. We saw him a little bit last year in the playoffs. He's not disjointed this year. I think he's got like 6 goals and 6 assists and whatever, 20 some games.
Yep.
But you can see the makings of a really smart draft pick. This guy is a bull. He is strong. The fight wasn't exactly Probert versus Domi, but who cares? It's the idea that he stood up for a teammate. They kind of got rocked around the corner. But Matthew Nyes, Schauger I think they've got a really nice player there. And it feels like when you see him play with other players, they all want to play with him there in Toronto.
6'3", 217, according to Hockey DB. So
Yeah.
start there. 21 years old. He's got 7 goals, 13 points in 26 games this year on a team filled with skilled players that eat up a lot of the sugar time. And then if you look at the plays he made tonight, I don't know which was nicer, the assist or the goal. The goal was fantastic, right? Makes a power move to the net.
Mm-hmm.
The assist, did you see that, the way he did that cheeky little kick up to his stick and then a flip back?
Yeah.
I mean, for a guy his size, like there is a base of skill there. I'm not sure how far it's going to go, but I agree with you, buddy. To get this guy at 57 looks good so far.
Yeah, and it's just also the cap hit, right, for them right now. They need some flexibility. I don't know that they need some support on a big body. They need a big body. So yeah, it's a nice play by them. Sticking in tonight's action, the hitting from behind parade continues.
Oh, it does.
Second period, a pretty good game between Boston and the Rangers. And David Pastrnak, known pugilist, runs Ryan Lindgren from behind. And, blatantly from behind. Like it's not even a question that this is from behind. Gets 5 in a game, tossed out. And I don't know how he's not going to be suspended for this. It seems like the last, I don't know, Schauger, 5-6 days, it's nightly. We're talking about hits from behind. And quite frankly, may have started with Kane on Brodin.
It did.
Last, what was that? I don't know, a week ago or so?
A long time ago in the hitting from behind world, because there's been a pile of them since. Yeah, it's weird. It like the ebb and flow of the game. Sometimes you'll just see a quick little epidemic for a few weeks, and then it just becomes super hot button topic. And yeah, man, that one was, I didn't like that one. I've been really clear on the way I feel about hitting from behind. And so he's coming around, kind of around the boards and he plays a puck. And I can understand why Pastrnak, had he followed through this way to his left, then maybe there's a chance to throw a clean hit. But the point is, Struds, you got to wait and see if he does that or not. I mean, he just plowed into him with no regard for which, definitely hit him from behind. If you think hit's going to line up properly, it's still your responsibility to make sure it does before you throw it.
Yeah, there was a play to be made there that didn't have to be a hit from behind. And I've seen a lot of pushback on the online community that the player has to defend themselves. And I agree with that. I've spoken many times about you being ready to defend yourself and not turn your back. But there are some cases where, in this case, Pastrnak had time to choose to or not to make that hit. He chose to do it. Mistake all over. I don't know how he can't get suspended for this. It's at some point you got to stand up and say, we've had enough.
Yeah. I don't disagree, but I don't have a lot of faith that that'll get done.
Agreed.
It's a star player in an area where they have shown kind of an indifference to really send a message.
But see, I think this is a perfect opportunity to send the message that it doesn't matter who does it. You should still be accountable for your actions, right? And I hated when I felt that star players got preferential treatment. I wasn't oblivious to the fact that that's who sells the tickets. I get it. And we're all making good money because of them. But also it doesn't mean they can go around and just have, it's a license to kill like they're James Bond.
All right. That was Taking a Lap, brought to you by Backscape. You're getting a little love on the stream here, Struddy.
Oh.
Davin chimes in and says, that was Struddy's cleanest Backscape ad read so far.
It's funny. I was actually patting myself on the back. I did feel pretty good about it.
You did.
I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just Saturday night, Christmas party, or I don't know what's going on. But
you got through a whole read without choking on your tongue. Is it a Christmas party night tonight?
I was at a buddy's. So it wasn't a huge party. We were all sitting around watching the game.
Did you leave it to come do a podcast with us, buds?
I was kind of wrapping up, and I always like to leave early because I want people like, oh, I wish you stayed a little longer.
Where did Struds go?
Yeah, they're like, and honestly, I was running out of stories to tell you. I got about 2 periods worth, and then things just go south quickly.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, when we come back, Struddy's World, and ask us anything where we want to know what you have to say, and you're going to want to stick around for our gem of the day. Long Shots Golf is the destination for both golf enthusiasts and sports fans. Top-of-the-line TrackMan simulators provide a highly entertaining and accurate golf experience, while a full-service sports bar loaded with big screens and scratch kitchen make it a truly unique destination. They have locations in Sherwood Park in Edmonton. Experience the best indoor golf and sports bar in town. Visit longshots.ca. That's longshots with a Z.ca.
Are you ready to elevate your moving experience? Trusted for over 100 years, Ferguson Moving and Storage are your partners in relocation, ensuring your journey is smooth and stress-free. And say goodbye to surprises with Ferguson's transparent flat rate pricing. Contact them now for a free moving quote and use a promo code Ferguson to receive $100 off your next move. Visit fergusonmoving.com and let them lift your expectations. When you make a mistake, heads should roll. It's not right. And I'm here, someone has to put their foot down. Now that I say it out loud, it does sound a little crazy.
Gotta look good.
All right, time for Struddy's World, brought to you by my brother's company, DLR Vinyl Products, locations in Calgary and in Edmonton. If you're a contracting business or a contractor, let DLR help you add vinyl fence to your product line. See why they've been going strong since 2005. Reliable, unmatched service with high-quality North American-made products. Visit dlrvinylproducts.ca. My younger brother Rob has a bigger head than I do. We have measured. It's a lifelong debate, Struddy, about who had the biggest head. And then our cousin Clayton is an engineer. He came over one night. We got a little sauced. And we did a water displacement test in 2 buckets to see whose head displaced more water. And after a lifetime of taking a beating as having the biggest head in the family, was Rob.
Yeah, I don't know if that's, you guys both have massive heads. So I'm not sure that's
Hey.
I'm really proud of that. That's like saying, like,
I know.
Hey, I'm 5'6". Oh boy, I'm way taller than you. You're 5'5". Like I'm not getting too excited about that achievement.
You need to come over with cousin Clayton, and we need to do the water displacement deal with you two. Like, I feel like you have a pretty major size head as well.
I do, but I'm 6'3", right? You guys are like 5'11", 5'6", standing on 3 phone books, maybe. Jeez,
we've been through this.
You're not.
The last time I went to the doctor, I was just a hair under 6'2".
Yeah. That's the same guy who says you don't have the gout. I think you got to find a new doctor.
All right, let's get to Struddy's World. What do you got, pal?
Phil Kessel. I mean, what a player he's been for the NHL for a long time. We saw him. He was in Vegas last year, and unlike his time with the Pittsburgh Penguins, where he was a massive part of their two Stanley Cup wins, I believe. With Vegas, he was kind of a smaller part and kind of a bit part, quite frankly. There's a desire for him to come back to the NHL on his side, and it hasn't really worked out yet. And you got to try to sometimes read between the lines what the agents are saying. They're looking for the right fit. Sometimes that means they're looking for a contract, right? So it sounds like Phil the Thrill is according to Pierre LeBrun, our good friend Pierre LeBrun here on the Got Your Bad podcast. He's looking to go play some games over in Switzerland. I played in that league. It's a good league. It's fast. I think that Phil would be fine there. But, it isn't so much that people have to see him playing. I think it's like, where does he fit into your group? If I'm a team, and there might be a team that's at the bottom, like Chicago would probably take him, especially with the guys they're missing now. But if you're a team that's hoping to win a Stanley Cup or in the playoff window, is he in your top 6 or your top 9? I have a hard time seeing that. So Phil's been a good player for a long time. And my God, like Frank Sinatra, he did it his way, Shogger. But I think the sun has set on his NHL career on a team that has aspirations for winning a Stanley Cup.
Scored 14 goals last season, Struds.
Yeah.
On a pretty deep team Like, people want to look at him not being able to play in the playoffs. He played 4 games and kind of go, yeah, he was cooked. I didn't really play. That was a really deep team, like a really deep team. And what's he going to be on your 4th line? Like, no. So I'm not saying I would do it, but you say, where does he fit into your lineup? On a good team, where does he fit into your lineup? I don't know. Right wing on your 2nd line right now, if you're the Oilers. It's a better option than anything else they're trying there.
I would disagree with that. He hasn't played any games. You don't know what his legs are going to be like. We've seen Patrick Kane now.
Let's say he's in great shape. Let's say he's like ready to go. That's the kind of player. It'd be a great fit.
Yeah, I would have a hard time. I at this point of the year, you're a third of the way through the year. I don't know how he can catch up and contribute just at his age. If he was 27, I'd be much different conversation we'd be having than now. And again, this comes from a player. I think he was an unreal player. Such a good player, such a good passer, scooter, all that stuff. But right now, I just don't see him moving the needle a lot. And if people thought he did, I'm guessing he'd have a contract already, buddy.
Yeah, you're right. I'm just kind of being a smart ass here, playing devil's advocate, because we'll have some conversation about it. But let's see. What do the Oilers need? Stanley Cup experience in the room. Oh, check. Oh. A bit of a disruptor type personality, someone that you can laugh at, and someone from what I could tell, his teammates all love playing with a guy. Yeah, there's a good check there. Maybe make some skill plays and be in your moonlight in your top 6 if you need him or if you get a little banged up. Check. Doesn't need to be in the lineup every single night. We'll just be happy to be there. I think he's probably at that place in his. So, there's a couple check. You can make a case here, Struds. I don't think they should do it. I'm just making the case. Yeah. Just making the case, buds.
Yeah, I understand. I hear you. And the case, what you're saying is accurate. I just don't think that this is a fit for this team. And I felt if he did, like, what's the contract going to look like? I don't think it's going to be. I think he was at $1 million something last year. Like,
what if he goes over and crushes it? What if he goes over there and he gets on the ice and gets in game action? You're like, oh, God, looks good. Hey, rejuvenated.
Yeah, I dominated over there too. I just don't know that. I don't know. You know what, man? I guess never say never. And you're right. If you need a piece, if there's 3 injuries in their bottom 6, you might look at it.
Yeah.
I just don't. Right now, I can't get behind it. I'd be interested to hear what Pierre has to say when you guys gather up for another one of your national podcasts.
Yeah, coming up this week. I'll check your schedule. We got to get you on one of those again. You actually weren't terrible when you came on.
That's all they want.
Is Rishaug talking Corey Perry? No, Bitumen. We're talking about Phil Kessel. Okay, that was Struddy's World, brought to you by DLR Vinyl Products. Let's get to our Ask Us Anything segment. That tonight's going to be brought to you by Match Eatery. Was there today. Stopped by for a little chicken Caesar after the morning skates. Great atmosphere. They got TVs all over the place. If you want to catch anything sporting-wise, you're going to be able to at Match Eatery in Public House. Purchase a $50 gift card right now. You get a bonus $10 card and 2 Match-branded beer sleeves as well. Good stocking stuffers. Gift cards available in the restaurant and at matchpub.com. It is your Ice District dining destination. Zuby, why don't you pop on in here, my man?
Hey, fellas.
Hey, buds. How are you? You were sick for a little bit, man. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling better, but still a little sick. Hopefully I can get through this without too much coughing, having to hit the mute button in mid-question.
Okay. Well, you keep it short and sweet, and you go rapid fire with Struddy here and blast your way through like 6 or 7 of these. Let's give her 5 minutes or so and see what the people are saying.
Hold on. I want you in this first one, Ryan, because I'm going to throw out a few goalie names that came up on the stream, and you guys can just give a thought. Is it possible? Would you be interested? What would you get? What would the price be? Okay. X-Ray J says, what would be the cost to obtain James Reimer?
What would be the cost? That's always tough. Like, yeah, I mean, isn't there a chance that guy's going to end up on waivers in the not too distant future? Like, I don't see it being a massive, tremendous price. So, should there be interest there? Could there be interest? He's got his 8 games, 2.58. He's got a 9.11, which matches his career totals. So yes, an option, definitely an option. I don't know, mid-round pick type thing, Struddy.
Yeah, I think somewhere in there, somewhere in that area. And the question is, would he be a tandem beside our man Stu Skinner?
Yeah.
Michael Dahl says, what about Dan Vladar? How can we hose Craig Conroy? They have a situation there with when Markstrom gets healthy that they got Dustin Wolf knocking on the door.
Makes
is that
too
even
much,
a possibility?
What is he? Is he 2.5, 3?
I'll grab it here.
Yeah.
I mean, they do have 3 goalies there for sure, but I don't know if the Calgary Flames are helping out the Edmonton Oilers by doing that deal. It's kind of like
pretty close, and they're both fighting for a playoff spot here, right?
I'm just grabbing his cap hit here real quick, if I can. Where is it? Our good friends over at Puckpedia. Yeah, Vladar's. Sorry, one sec. 2 million, yeah, 2 million, 2.2 million, and 2.2 million next year as well.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, not as cheap as you're moving Jack Campbell if you're trying to make that deal happen. Don't forget how expensive and painful it's going to be to move Jack Campbell. People talking multiple high pick type assets, not one. It's not your first round pick this year. That does not get that done. It's multiple.
What's $15 million? $15 million that someone has to pay. So what is it?
Was it 10 on the buyout, isn't it? Something like that, Struds? Is it 10 on the buyout?
Yeah, but there's 15 left, 10 on the buyout over 6 years. I mean, you do the math. That's a lot of cash spread out. They might be better off just doing it themselves.
Yeah, keep her going, Zoobs.
Okay, some stranger says, can Rodriguez get a sniff? Or Rodrigue, however you pronounce his name, the rookie in the minors.
Olivier Rodrigue?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny that I don't think Calvin's played poorly, but I wonder why they wouldn't give him a chance. Like if Campbell is not the solution, before you ring up anyone else, would that not be a chance to look at him?
Yeah. So I was trying to find him to pull up his overall numbers here. I don't know. I don't know that Pickard's game will fall to a point where they feel they need to do that.
I was surprised they didn't do it when they sent Campbell down. It seemed like that was like the Jordan Bennington moment.
Right. Yeah.
The experience level isn't there. He hasn't done it. Like you're not bringing a guy who's never done it before up into that absolute burning barn. You're not doing that. That would have been irresponsible to bring a young goalie that's never done it before up and thrown him into that mess.
But before you make a massive trade, maybe you do take a peek, right?
Yeah. That's what you wanted to name the segment.
Okay,
keep it going, Zuby.
Yeah.
Let's go. Rock and roll.
Last one, Yaroslav Halak. He's out there. He's a free agent. 38 years old.
So
he just did a PTO, didn't he, Struds?
Yeah, in Carolina.
With Carolina.
So another team that is looking at goalies.
You can't make Carolina's goaltending right now.
Yeah, like that's like your buddy who's so desperate to be in a relationship and he dumps a girl and you are the next one in line, you take her. Like if your buddy who's so desperate dumps her, there's something going on, right? That is like,
unless you know your buddy's a bit of a donkey and you're like, hey, there's a diamond in the rough there.
Yeah.
Hey,
Struds, it could be, but I'm not sure that at their age, either one of the goalies we've talked about, the one on waivers or the one on free agent, I'm not sure at their age. 10 years ago, I'd be like, bring them on in, tandem them up. But I don't feel that's the answer right now.
JC says
Wonder about Blackwood. Okay, keep going.
JC says they go 8-0. Coach decides to swap the second and third line around. 0-2 since in full game. Of course, that happened mid game in the last game that they won. So is the answer just to flip it back?
Yeah, that's what I had suggested earlier in the pod. That's what I think he'll do next game is just swap it back, let Kane and Draisaitl get going again together and just help them dig their way out. What I don't think he can do, Struds, or should do, is give in to, potentially a frustrated Draisaitl and give into and go nuclear option. Like if McDavid and Draisaitl come blasting out of the gates together next game, I'll feel like that's I don't love that.
No, and I don't think that's long term the solution, right? It doesn't feel right. Coming out of penalty kills, go for it. But I wouldn't put them together.
On that note, Black Havoc 14 says, what about moving 89 up? I'm guessing to play with Draisaitl if you feel like you need someone who can distribute on that line.
Yeah, I mean he is the guy. He is the type of player I'm talking about. Someone that can move the puck to him, and we've seen the influence he's had on the fourth line. they're creating, and he's a big reason for it. But at this, he's 7-8 years ago, I think that's a little easier move to do than today for Knobloch.
Chris Formasano said 71 with 3 hits and a block shot tonight. He'll probably miss 6 to 8 weeks after that much contact. Haha, very good.
He came out and was physical. Like, he actually threw a couple of hits in the early going, but there was a play he made right at the end of the second period. He went into I think it was the offensive corner it was maybe the defensive corner to grab a puck, heard footsteps, threw it up the boards, total turnover. Didn't end up being anything against, but it's just there's a level of compete that's required to be on board with where this team wants to go, and McLeod is not finding that level of compete consistently. We can talk about it just about every single night.
Okay, last one. I'm going off the board here in a different direction.
Okay.
Best Christmas movie. Go.
Oh, Christmas Vacation. Like, that's the one. Every year we watch it. It's a family thing. The number of things you find each year that are funny, that you hadn't appreciated the previous year, Struds. To me, it's the one.
Yeah, and I'll double down. Also, my favorite rom-com of all time. Well, second favorite, Love Actually. I love this show. It's my favorite rom-com, for those wondering, is Notting Hill. Julie Roberts. Thank you very much.
That's a better choice.
But no, Love Actually is incredible. The whole thing, Colin Firth, I just tear up. I'm going to sit down and watch it. Well, maybe tomorrow night, maybe after the pod. We'll see how it goes.
Love Actually. Really?
I don't love it, actually. You know what? Maybe I need to give it another try. I felt like I watched it. I felt like it was contrived. I love Christmas Vacation, and I'm going to throw in Die Hard. I watch Die Hard every Christmas.
It's not a Christmas movie.
That is a Christmas movie. It takes place at Christmas. Not at all. That is a Christmas movie.
You are. Zuby, you're grumpy because you've been sick for like 2 months. So don't.
I know. That's
don't
a terrible
take your grumpiness.
Sick for 2 years.
You're losing your credibility here.
By the way, I would throw Elf on the
Elf
list
is
too.
good.
Like, there is some funny stuff, and my favorite line in Elf is, "Oh, he's an angry elf."
Yeah,
I lose it every time. Will Ferrell says that. Before we wrap up, ask us anything. A couple of people want to solve the mystery here. If you follow me on Twitter, you saw that I tweeted this picture during the game tonight. So can you see that? That is a plate of nachos.
Mm-hmm.
Struds, I don't know if you saw these tweets from me. Well, so I said, who is this is a media member that had that.
Yeah.
And then not 25 minutes later, same media member had that, and it was on his second slice.
Jeez.
So he was going ham in the press box tonight. And I did not reveal on Twitter who it was. Proud owner of both of those is Tom Gazzola from Edmonton Sports Talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he works out every 3 weeks, so he can consume that.
He's actually fairly slim. I'm not going to make any comments about he's a lot, he comes across as a lot slimmer than I am.
I assume
I'm not sure if you peeled the layers back, but he looks that way at least.
I assumed it was someone who was a fitness nut because they were going with such small portions of terrible food.
No.
That is, by the way, food that's bad for you, not.
By the way, Pressbox Pizza is back. Struds, 3 games it's been back. Haven't gone there yet. Stayed away from it all 3 games. There was a member of the media. I will not shame them by saying their name, but there was a member of the media tonight. 6 pieces of pizza in the press box.
Hello, Min Darwal.
No, it wasn't Min. Hello, Min. All right. That was Ask Us Anything, brought to you by Match Eatery. Time now for the gem of the day, brought to you by Edmonton's most iconic home for everything sport, United Sport and Cycle. It's the final days before Christmas, and United Sport and Cycle's last-minute Christmas sale is on now. Save big for the athlete or sports fan on your list. Visit www.unitedsport.ca. Struds, you don't get a say on this one.
I know.
I've anointed this one gem of the day because Zuby, despite his illness, he put in some work. He put in some work and he did a little creative for us, and it's our gem of the day, but it harkens back to one of my favorite comments you've ever made on the podcast. Crocodile.
I love that.
You got to make that face when you do the accent all the time.
Oh, they do. They scrunch it up, guys. I watched Karate Dundee probably 20 times in my.
Did you say Karate Dundee?
Oh, what I say, karate? I mean crocodile.
The kilted zombie.
Did you watch the Crocodile Kid too?
What did he say, Brownie? I missed it.
He called it the Karate Dundee, and
Come on.
One of my favorite moments ever from Struddy's World.
That's good. Yeah.
And so Zuby got to work, Zuby. And for those of you listening on podcast form, you're going to have to go find YouTube because Zuby put in a little bit of work. Go ahead, throw it up, Zubes. There it is, folks.
Oh, my God. That is so good.
Karate Dundee coming your way. Hey, yeah. Struddy?
You know what, guys? When it comes to a good story, I don't let the details get in the way of it, right? I just let it roll.
Zuby, like, look at the level of detail. I can't see Zuby. What does it say underneath there? Underneath Karate Dundee?
That's me actually not changing it from. That's the original from the Crocodile Dundee poster that I decided.
Oh, so you just kept all that the same.
That's right.
You just threw Ralph Macchio in there, and how long did this take you?
I don't know. An hour of my highly sophisticated Photoshop skills.
Nice job, Zuby.
I think I say screenplay by Jason Strudwick. I see that written at the bottom.
Screenplay by.
You know what I wanted to do? I wanted to get the hat on him. I wanted to get the Crocodile Dundee hat on him. I thought that would have been the final, the real icing on the cake. But my skills were not to that level, or my time.
I take that one back.
X-Ray J says, hit that like button, folks. Yeah, I guess that's good for us when you do that. So go ahead and pound that love button, and we appreciate that. Struds, good job tonight, my man. Thank you. I guess we'll do a Sunday pod tomorrow. Hey, quick.
Oh, well, I'm down. Then I'm going to watch Love Actually after. I might watch it during it, actually.
Zuby, you up for that, pal?
Might be Steve, but someone's up for it.
Might be Steve? All right, sounds good. All right, good job tonight, guys. Thank you so much for joining us on the live stream here on Twitter and on YouTube, or for downloading the podcast. Hope you're enjoying us on a Sunday morning, if that's when you're listening. And a big thanks to our title sponsor as well, Sherwood Buick GMC. We will see you tomorrow night, live stream coming your way, probably around 9 p.m. So please join us then, and we'll all talk soon. Cheers.